It's time to brush off your gear. It's been 2 months since the last time they raced. It's time for the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series Season 4 to begin here at Daytona International Speedway. It is time for the drivers to get ready. Stacked up, the field is much bigger, the stakes so much higher. We are excited to give you all the coverage Saturday nights here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Brandon Robinson. Brandon, we are here at Daytona, and it's time to put on a show as the drivers are taking off practice currently, getting ready for qualifying. But man, it is good to get started for a new season.
Yeah, what an entrance there, Sam, getting everybody excited, including myself. Looks like we're going to have 36 drivers here at the historic Daytona 500 to kick the season off. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight and to watch these guys as they kick off their new Cup season.
Brandon, I'm excited to work with you. First time working with you here tonight on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, and for a lot of the drivers on the track, they're getting ready to work with new people as well. Got told there are anywhere from 9 to 12 rookie drivers coming in, testing out the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series, and a lot of the guys are trying to get used to each other very quickly because Daytona is about to get stacked up and roaring here in just about 8 minutes. We're going to be going green flag racing for 100 laps. And as well, we got to give a big thanks to Robert Moyer, our producer, running all the productions, camera work, graphics for tonight's event. As we're riding on board with some of the drivers, getting a sense of how Daytona is going to be running. Brandon, looking at the way this race is going to be set, we're going to head to nighttime racing here. Under the lights is the way we're starting out Daytona in the season 4 of the NAIS Track Racer Cup Series.
Yeah, it should be pretty fun. The transition is always cool for the drivers and the spectators, the viewers at home as well. And like you said, there's a handful of rookies coming into this season. As you noted before we went live, some of these drivers coming from the Truck Series on Monday nights. However, the core drivers here tonight, there's about 30 of them that are coming over this season that raced with each other last season. So a nice core of drivers here should make for an interesting Daytona. I don't think there'll be as many cautions, but anything can happen at Super Speedway, especially Daytona, first race of the season. Everybody out there trying to prove themselves and kick it off the right way at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I mean, talking to the drivers before the race, speaking of those core drivers, 30 of them coming over, and a few of them are having win a championship this season on their mind. First and foremost has to be the man that we call Champ, that of Tom Senchek, the number 8. Winner of Season 1 and Season 2 of the Drivers' Championship. Tried to make it 3 in a row, but bad luck struck the 8 machine late in the regular season. Didn't even make the playoffs. His mindset is go for a championship, redeem myself, and redemption as well has to go to that of Brian Johnson, the driver that dominated the whole entire season for Season 3 for the NIS Cup Series back then. But he came up short, losing the championship in the championship race at Homestead, losing that race to that of watching a Cedric Hunter in the 13. Ran a Hello Kitty machine. We'll see if the 13 can come back and get some redemption for himself. But Brandon, rookies are coming in. There's a few rookies that, I have seen, like we noted on, they're coming from the Truck Series. Other drivers coming in that we've never seen before, like that of Joseph Causey. I'm expecting the 6 to be a real threat to all the drivers racing here this season.
Yeah, Joseph Causey, I've seen him around a few different leagues. He's always a threat no matter where he is, especially in these Cup Series. As you were talking about Brian Johnson, his dominating performance last season was capped off with 7 race victories and coming up short on the championship. That's tough. Anytime you can win 7 wins in a season, you're clearly the favorite to win it all. And by not doing so, I think Brian might be coming in here with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder for this season. He can prove that he can win, but can he prove that he can win it all this season?
And that's what's in his mind, proving it to himself and to everyone else. And on track qualifying has started. We're seeing on board with the 48, another driver that a lot of hype is around, the young gun of Hunter Hayward coming in. He is going to be teaming up with Brian Johnson and going to be a part of the magnitude number 9 team. And that team, they actually kind of had to get split up. Originally, the whole entire Category 5 team, which last season was Brian Johnson, Cedric Hunter, Zach Hall, and Brandon Colley, those 4 drivers were notified. All 4 of you cannot be on the same team. And so they had to split up. Brian Johnson took himself back, grouped up with Nick Crawford and Hunter Hayward, and that team expecting them to be very quick with the Mag 9 guys. And Hunter Hayward, we've seen him race on Freaky Fast Broadcasting before on Sunday nights for the SRU Sim Racing Unleashed series. And Brandon, we're going to be talking a lot of other programs and other races that we have covered for a lot of these drivers, because most of the guys that we're covering, some of them, yes, they're going to have the R, the rookie symbol, but they're not rookies, the Freaky Fast Broadcasting at all.
Yeah, you see a lot of guys, they travel through these leagues, and you notice the ones that are really, really good tend to travel to the really good league. So I'm excited to be here with this league, being my first night, kicking it off at Daytona. For the viewers at home, this is a iRacing Daytona default setup that they're running here tonight. All these drivers are going to have one fast repair, Sam, here at a super speedway. They're really going to have to make sure that there's top-notch racing. You certainly don't want to get that fast repair used and out of the way early on. Save it. If you have to use it, you most certainly want to make sure you have that towards the end of the race when these guys really start banging it out with that 15 to 20 laps to go. And only 2 sets of tires here at Daytona. You don't really burn through them a heck of a whole lot like you would at an Atlanta. But 100 laps at Daytona, only having 2 sets and 1 quick repair. A lot of these drivers here tonight are going to have to really make sure they brought their racing craft.
Yeah, they're going to be really having to focus on. I know tire wear, not the biggest factor, but only having 2 sets in pit road, these drivers really have to think of when they really need to use those tire sets, as Hunter Hayward took on top of the board. But as drivers finishing up qualifying, less than 2 minutes to go, got to give big thanks to the sponsors that allow us to cover all of this. So big thanks to the head sponsor, going to be that of Trak Racer, Refined Gaming. Trak Racer, if you're thinking about making a racing rig, if you're in the middle of getting a racing rig, or you already have one set up, why not upgrade with Trak Racer, Refined Gaming? Also, a major thanks to the SimBox store. If you're looking for an affordable SimBox that is going to give you some of the best button action that can enhance your gaming features, go get yourself a SimBox from the SimBox store. Remember, SimBox store, you really push our buttons. If you want more information from them, go hit them up on Facebook. And also, you can find their supplies on eBay as well as on Facebook. And McConey Setup Shop. If you're looking for some of the best setups on iRacing, anything from Legends up to Cup Cars or even Dirt, McConey Setup Shop's got you covered. Remember, use the promo code FFB10 for 10% off on all the setups, as well as McConey Setup Shop has themselves coaching for some of the best iRacers out there, from NASCAR Coca-Cola Series champion Zach Novak to his teammate Jimmy Mullis that was racing in the playoffs just this season. Get yourselves coached by some of the best. McConey Setup Shop. There are setups, but they're your victories. And finishing things off, big thanks to ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Talked about the SimBox store and how they're enhancing your ability. Well, as well, get yourself a gamer too. Instead of hearing the sounds, why not feel the sounds? Been hearing about it during the pandemic of pro drivers getting on iRacing, missing feeling how the car is rumbling around, attacking and sliding. Well, the Gamer 2 gives you that feature. And if you want 20% off on your Gamer 2 at ButtKicker, get yourself, use the promo code FreakyFast20. That's Freaky with 2 E's, FreakyFast20 for 20% off. ButtKicker, feel what you've been missing. And ladies and gentlemen, qualifying has come to a close. That means it's time for us to get down to the racetrack. It's time to grit up and top of the board. It's a rookie. It's Hunter Hayward in the 48 with that of Cedric Hunter to his outside for row number 1. Row 2, it's going to be Nick Crawford and Brandon Colley. Colley's looking for a great rebound after mistakes that he's been having throughout, in practically bad luck, Brandon, from that last season in season 3. Going to be in fifth. Going to be another rookie, that of Jarrett Talmadge from the Truck Series coming in, trying to test the water in the Cup Series with that of Thomas Walter finishing out row number 3. Row number 4 going to be that of Aaron Kralik with that Maurice Gomillion, and finishing out row number 5 in your top 5, Vincent Sora and Thomas Green, as you continue to see where the rest of the drivers lie. Brandon, qualifying's done. Drivers are gritting up. 100 laps in the eyes of 36 drivers as we are getting ready to go racing.
Yeah, and this is going to be a stage race with the first stage breaking on lap 40, and admin will throw that caution unless a caution occurs on lap 37 or later. So in between that 37 laps and 40 laps, then they'll just run it as the stage right there. Top 5 finishers of that first stage will receive bonus points upon completion of the race. Of course, 100 laps here. Drivers will have 3 overtime attempts to finish the race. Upon the final overtime, if the caution comes out, scoring will be reviewed based on position at the time of the caution, in which positions can change. The top 3 drivers will be in Discord after the race, so stick around for post-race interviews, as Sam will have all of that for you guys. And as you said, in that practice and qualifying session, your eyes were on Cedric Hunter, or Hunter Hayward, excuse me, and there he is, going to be sitting pole to kick off this season at Daytona.
And drivers are now rolling off, getting ready to do one pace lap and get green after that. Brandon, drivers, they wait for these type of moments. The start of the season, try to strike and get Daytona, get a victory. And I was looking at the past of all the starts at Daytona so far this in the NAISCC series as a whole. There has never been a driver that has won twice at the start of the season. It is those drivers that are going for that record. That's going to be Kyle Rochelle, who won in season 2 to start out the season, and that of Brian Johnson, who won last season in season 3. Everyone else, they're looking for their first time winning at Daytona to start out a season, and what an honor it would be to start the season off with gold.
Yeah, and at Daytona, which is usually the first track that all these leagues start off with, there's always that sense of pressure to not only prove that you're fast and that you belong up to the front, but you have that other pressure of proving yourself, especially the new guys. I believe it was 12 rookies that we talked about either transferring from the Truck Series or that are brand new to this league. There's that added pressure of proving to all these other drivers that are out there on the track right now that not only are you fast, but that you can race clean. The worst thing you want to do is come out of Daytona, the first race of the season, and be that guy that has a bunch of fingers pointed at him for causing the big one here at Daytona. So there's a lot of pressure for these guys as we kick off green here, Sam, at Daytona.
Green flag in the air. It's the track racer Daytona 250 underway. It's going to be Hunter Hayward, Cedric Hunter up front, getting a push from Nick Crawford and Brandon Colley. As you see, teammates in line. On the bottom, it's Mag 9. On the high side, it's Cat 5. As they are roaring forward, side-by-side action. And the question is, Brandon, when will we see these drivers single out, or will they continue to stay side by side? As you're seeing the outside line, they're doing a great job. Cedric Hunter almost able to make the charge and trying to make the move to the inside, and clears the 13 to the lead.
Yeah, 3 wide going into turn 3, out of turn 4 here. I think these guys will stay double file through the middle of the pack for quite a while. Obviously up front here, we've already seen the first 4 cars get single file as that guy cuts down by that yellow line. So you see the top 5 single file, but we're 3 wide through the middle of the pack so far, and I think that'll take a couple of laps for everybody to get adjusted. But again, that middle of the pack, back of the pack, these guys are going to be side drafting pretty much all green flag. But up front, we've already seen the single file begin, and that's the way it'll stay here for a while.
Drivers finally lead in line, but our top 3, that's Cedric Hunter, Hunter Hayward, as well as Nick Crawford in line. It's going to be Jarrett Talmadge in the 27 that we're seeing on board. Talmadge, driver that we've seen from the Truck Series, shown that he has a lot of pace in the trucks, going to be trying to make a surge forward. And here's the man that kind of was in our eyes here, Brandon, coming into tonight's race. His name stuck out because we both have covered him in many different leagues. Is Joseph Kazi in the 6. But the 6 machine, a lot deeper in the field. He's got to figure out a way to move himself forward. But patience is going to be the key here tonight.
Yeah, Daytona is all about the drive to survive, especially early on here. 100 laps at Daytona may not be a lot on paper or for people viewing at home, but for these drivers that are on track, 100 laps is an eternity. And the most important thing that you can do is keep your car clean, try to avoid getting any big wrecks, and have the best track position. It doesn't matter as much maybe in stage racing as we'll bunch these guys back up on lap 40, but the principle remains the same. Track position is key, and staying out of trouble is going to be key, and that might be what Kossi is doing here on the early going, just making sure that he's not causing any trouble out there and avoiding any trouble that may happen in front of him.
So right on the back bumper of the 15 of Vincent Sora. Sora, another one of our young guns. Vinny is one of the drivers that comes in and really is looking just to get a win this season. Winless last season in the Cup season, where in season 2 almost tied with the most wins. Came into season 3, felt like he was going to be one of our top 4 drivers and underperformed for himself. This season, all eyes are on getting wins as well as just trying to stay consistent and pave a way to get a championship. This 15 machine of Vincent Sora, always got to keep an eye out on him, as top 10s, top 5s seem to be where he always looms when it comes to the end of the race.
Yeah, and as much as these green flags start to happen here, one thing that I was kind of paying attention to Joseph Kossi, he was kind of out there in no man's land, which is certainly where you not want to be on a super speedway, especially Daytona. We're going to see some of these packs start to separate a little bit. The front pack obviously having a ton of momentum right now, but we're going to start seeing a gap throughout the racetrack, and Kossi was actually caught out there by himself until this second pack came up to him and eventually passed him, the 19 and the 5 car, doing a little bit of bump drafting right there. But the one thing you want to make sure here at Daytona, just like any other super speedway, is you have somebody to draft with, especially, Sam, when we get to green flag pit stops. The teammates are going to be in the radio. They're going to be pitting on the same lap. Even if you're not teammates, you're going to try to communicate that, hey, let's go down this lap, because you need a drafting partner here at Daytona, or else you're just going to get eaten up.
Yeah, and we're watching and bouncing back and forth, looking at the different fields, right? That lead group, and seeing, where drivers are going to be lying for themselves. As you see up front, a lot of decisions on where you want to place themselves, but it's the lead driver of Cedric Hunter. And looking back at last season, Brandon, it was the 13 that went for the defensive move, that tried to defend and protect that of Brian Johnson and Zach Hall when they were teammates of Cat 5. But pit road already getting busy, and this is a great call. They're coming in early, Brandon, because they know they need to make a pit stop before the stage is over.
Yeah, so they go out there 7 laps. They're clear of all the big one, right? We're green, no caution hit. These guys have been out there for 7 laps. They know they're going to have to come down pit road before that stage break. And the important part was, that was going back to what I was talking about, Sam, with the communication. We didn't just see 1 car or 2 cars go down pit road. We saw a fury of cars go down pit road. That's the communication we were touching base on, making sure that when you come down pit road, you're leaving pit road with a couple of cars so you can keep up with the draft.
Yeah, and teamwork always going to be a factor to watch out for. And also, it's not just teammates, it's alliances that you can make with other drivers, as another pack of drivers coming in. And I think this is the group of drivers that are partnering up with Category 5, as well as Mag 9 coming in, getting their service done. But when they're side by side, 3 wide into pit road, and divvying up, got to make sure you don't make any contact under pit lane as all the drivers are clear. But up front, they got scattered with the 2 major pit stops, Brandon. Up front, they're completely alone.
Yeah, Maurice Gamillion, excuse me, sorry for butchering that. He's up there all by himself. It looks like they're now coming down pit road. It's going to open up the door for Sean, and now he's coming down. So I'm going to leave that alone as these guys start shuffling for their green flag pit stops. But yeah, and now we see the lead cars come off pit road, the 13 car, the 48 right behind him. And one thing that you were talking about, whether you're teammates or not, the super speedways are always fun because you're working with people that you might not normally work with, but it's also an indicator of who's got your back throughout the season, whether it's a teammate or not. On these super speedways, friendships are created, if you will. Alliances are created here in week 1 here at Daytona. So it's always a fun track to race around, but it also sets the tone moving forward.
Yeah, this first pit stop so important for some, and other drivers might have made mistakes. One driver that made a major mistake was that of Mark Morales, who's in 18th and falling back quickly. Went through pit road, missed his pit box, and now is trapped and might have to come into pit road again. But the question is, will he be able to just save fuel from this point on? We were given a window of anywhere from 35 to 38 laps, so maybe by coming in through pit road and slowing down and saving fuel might be a way to save a little bit. And if he's in the draft, might have enough time to save fuel. As you see Brian Johnson's car, might be wondering what's on the hood of that 28. Well, Brian Johnson I was talking with him before the race, and he told me whenever he talks to Zach Hall before a season, he makes a new scheme, and he asks Zach, "Hey Zach, what does the scheme look good?" And he says, yeah, it looks great. And then the end of the season, Zach's like, "Yeah, you know what? I actually didn't think it was that great." So to get a little bit of payback and just to put a scheme out there, that is Zach Hall's face that is on Brian Johnson's car. So if you're getting a bump from this 28, you are getting a nice look of Zach Hall, who's for Zach, it's going to be a funny moment to look back on it and see his face on that 28.
Yeah, so already taking digs at each other just shows you the camaraderie of some of these drivers that are returning. We saw the 5 car there actually get passed by these race leaders up there. He was all by himself, and that's what we try to stress here about Daytona is if you're out there on no man's land, you are going to get eaten up, especially from a pack right now with 4 cars. Being led by Maurice there, doing a heck of a job up here at the front of the pack. We'll have to check in with that driver who missed his pit box. Like you said, with a pit window of 30 to 35 laps, it's going to be really hard for him to save fuel for those extra 5 laps. He's probably going to go a lap down anyway, so you might as well come down pit road. We're going to have some cautions at the end of this race. If you go a lap down, it's probably not the end of the world. I'd come down pit road, get my tires, get my fuel, and then just play that lucky dog.
And now going to be the 99 of Dylan Walterman. We're going to be running on board, and you can see the freaky fast machine. Dylan Walterman, just to let you know, Brandon, the first time that we saw Dylan Walterman get a win was back in the Underdog Racing League that we cover on Wednesday nights in their truck series a couple of months back. And he was running a freaky fast trucks car, won at Talladega Superspeedway Racing, and ever since then, watching him put on freaky fast over and over on that car. And the 99 looks pretty sweet to look out there. One of the best schemes, in my opinion, out there so far.
Yeah, Dylan Walterman gives us a reminder for everybody watching at home. Definitely follow and like Freaky Fast Broadcasting on Facebook. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Turn on notifications. And make sure you catch all these leagues when they go live, as we do cover multiple leagues throughout the week.
Multiple leagues, and this whole entire week is the resurgence of us being busy practically every single day. And it is great to be back covering Saturdays again. It was a 2-month break, and it felt weird not covering these guys. And we are happy to be back covering the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series. And it's great to have Track Racer on board for this league. And, they joined in the middle of last season, and now a primary sponsor is Track Racer. Again, Refined Gaming is Track Racer. And if you'd like to get a discount code for getting your racing rig set up from Track Racer, go to NAISCC's Facebook and get information. They can give you a discount code to make sure that you can get the best rig setup yet you can with Track Racer. Again, Refined Gaming. We're watching and seeing all the drivers and where they're lying currently, as we see that of Tom Senchak, Champ, the driver that won for season 1 and 2, went back-to-back and trying to make it 3 in a row last season. Couldn't get it done. Well, that's now their time to come into pit road. It's going to be the 8 as well as the 20 coming in, as well as the 99. Seeing some drivers, the 8 and the 20, both from RS Racing. And RS Racing, as a team, they've actually won the most of all the drivers for a team winning at super speedways. So right now, RS Racing trying to get their 3rd super speedway win as a team. Again, it was Kyle Rochelle that won back in season 2. Then it was Tom Senchak that won the Talladega that was later in the season for season 2 in the playoffs. As you're seeing all of them getting passed by, and looking at the draft, seeing all the drivers in line. Brandon, you could probably touch on it a little bit more. But why is the fact that the drivers that are running so much faster than everyone else currently?
Well, what I was getting ready to touch base on, and hopefully that kind of sheds some light to that question. Those guys that you were just talking about coming down pit road, starting with that number 8 car, this front row right here with Maurice is only a 4-car draft, right? And I was noticing that that 8 car had 5th place through, I think, 10th. So you had a 6-car draft who was trailing down this 4-car draft, and they were going to catch them because the more cars in your draft, if you have a 6 or 7-car draft going against a 3 or a 4-car draft, you're most certainly going to gain time on them. So Maurice, that's exactly what he wanted to see, along with Kyle Rochelle, James Loveland, and Sean Huffstutler, were to see that pack that was gaining on them. Half of them broke off to come down pit road, and that kind of broke that second pack draft to allow these guys to extend their lead even more. It looks like 7, almost 8 seconds, first place Maurice over that second pack leader, Zach Hall.
Yeah, and right now we've got a total of 6 drivers that still need to come into pit road as stage break, or stage 1, going to be at a conclusion for lap 40 for the drivers. So we're coming about halfway through stage 1 for these guys, as you getting to see that of Sean Huffstutler. We name him the Professor, as he has been a wizard out there at times. He found himself getting up front, and for this 94, gotta say, he's someone that has really found a lot of speed. Was one of our final 4 battling for a championship for season 3. Came up short, but really had a great shot to win it last season at Homestead, but fell a little bit short for himself. But looks like we are already finding drivers with issues for themselves, as drivers still continuing to trickle into pit road, but issues for Ethan Smith as well as Jacob Watson, both rookies having issues in pit road, extended times for themselves. Looks like penalties as well as repairs need to be done for the 00 and the 54, as more drivers trickling into pit road. Brandon, we're starting to see more drivers having to make the pit stop here, and it seems like the later you stay out, the more time you're losing.
Yeah, you really are. I mean, a lot of these guys already coming down pit road on lap 7, lap 10, right there in that window. They're able to get back on track, get right back into the draft system, if you will, and they've just been turning laps now. It should be noted, on a super speedway like this, pit lane is very fast, the speed I'm talking about. It's very easy on a green flag pit stop to overextend that speed limit and get a black flag for speeding down pit road. I'm wondering and assuming that that's what a couple of these drivers had to face if they've come down pit road twice now, probably speeding pit lane. As far as the repairs, that's another big thing here too, Sam. If you got 10 seconds, 15 seconds of repair at a Martinsville, you're probably not worried about it. But at a super speedway like Daytona, because of the aerodynamics, because you need that car to be perfect, especially on the front end, you have to stay on pit road and get those optional repairs done, or you're just going to get eaten up.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it is one of those things, like you noted on, you need to get those repairs here at a super speedway because of the aerodynamics. And just been looking through the field, a lot of drivers have been misplaced in the draft, as we see the 88, that of Adam Westfield, running currently back in 27th position. And even for the drivers that are this far back, Brandon, they aren't out of this race just yet.
No, of course, with the stage break coming at lap 40. Right now, there's been a couple of drivers, the 5-car of Dakota Moniz and a couple of other drivers who have found themselves with no drafting partners. Because of that, they've gone multiple laps down. But these guys that are on the lead lap, 27th through 30th, I believe, with Gregory Shaw on the back tail of this lead lap, these guys are fine. They're just hanging out. They're making sure they're staying with the draft. With the car in front of them. They know that stage break is coming at lap 40. We're going to regroup these guys back up and get them back going bunched up. So these guys that are back there in the 25th position, they know what their job is right now, and that's just to keep the paint clean on their cars.
And really, they're doing a great job at it currently, trying to make sure a lot of these guys don't get into any trouble, as we're watching on board, as this is the pack that we're expecting to take the lead once we see our front 4 come into pit road. Our front four being that of Maurice Gilmillion, Kyle Rochelle, James Loveland, Sean Hutzbutler. And then you fall back to fifth. They're about 30, almost a little bit under 30 seconds back, Brandon. But this, second group, they've already pitted. They're looking good to take the lead. And you've got a mixture of allies up front. You've got, Cedric Hunter, part of Category 5. But then you've got the Mag 9 drivers of Hunter Hayward, Nick Crawford, and Brian Johnson, our Daytona winner from last season, following the 13 and putting on a great show of how to stay in line, gain up to the drivers ahead of them.
Yeah, and that's just the advantage of coming down pit road a little bit earlier. Hunter Hayward, he's got about 10 cars behind him. As some of these other drivers who haven't come down pit road yet, they're sitting pretty right now at the front. But once those guys start coming down for their green flag pit stop, eventually the leaders who came down for the first set of green flag pit stops usually shuffle back up into first place, which I expect we'll see Hunter Hayward in the pink car, Nick Crawford and Brian Johnson. That's exactly what's going to happen here on lap 23. Maurice is going to have to come down pit road eventually with Kyle Rochelle, and they're going to have to give up the lead.
There is a driver, though, that I do want to put a little bit of time on. We're going to drop back to 22nd position. Look at that at Patrick Hernandez. And Hernandez is running a special scheme for himself. He's honoring a friend that has passed away. And you can see him on the hood. This is a very special night for Patrick, wanting to get a win for his friend that passed away. And this is one of those things where he's running it for Junior. And Brandon, this is when you're racing for someone that has passed away, if it's an older family member or a friend, you have a heavy heart. You know you're trying your best to win that night.
Yeah, a lot of emotions on the line for sure. Maybe a little bit of that added pressure or whatever. But the main thing is paying respect. And I think that's what sim racing really is all about with these leagues. Forget about the officials just for a second. iRacing.com, the official simulator of NASCAR, has really provided such a familyhood with these custom leagues that get ran. Everybody becomes friends with one another. They support each other. And really, it's like a brotherhood here in the sim world because everybody supports one another, and it gives a platform to where you can put a memorial on the hood of your car. I remember just a few weeks ago, and I'm sure you guys covered it as well, when we threw homage to 9/11. There was a lot of cars with custom paint schemes paying tribute to that. iRacing just being able to provide such a platform to where we can do things like that. It's really a beautiful thing.
It really is. And for you, Patrick, and for your friends and for their family, we do pay respects for Junior, and good luck racing here tonight as we run back to Max Foner, the 51. Max, one of those drivers coming in through this season. He's owner of Max Motorsports, and for the 51 team, he's got the 19 under his belt as hoping for the best for themselves to continue to run as hard as they can. But Brandon, this is today's race. A lot of emotions, like we know for Patrick and some of the other drivers. But man, what a thrill! Start of a new season, season 4, and you never know when leagues can really get to this point. Some leagues burn out after 2 seasons or 3 seasons, but getting to season 4, this is one of those landmark moments where when you've got to season 4, there's really nothing that could stop you after this.
Yeah, and like I said, I won't name drop or anything. We're here, obviously, with NAISCC Cup Series. But, I call league. They're 20 years into it, Sam. I mean, like you said, a lot of leagues might fall off after 1 season. Imagine staying strong through 20 seasons. I think going into the 4th season here with these guys, having 36 drivers show up at Daytona, these guys have done very well for themselves. And the leagues that stick around in like this, their 3rd and 4th year, are usually because the admins are really good at what they do. They respect the drivers in their league, and they just respect people overall. So shout out to these guys heading into their 4th season. It's not easy to do, Sam, and especially you spoke that they do multiple series as well. So hats off to these guys at NAISCC.
Yeah, the multiple series, they just added the truck season in on Monday nights that we get to cover here on Free Fast Broadcasting. And it has been great to see the expansion as, yes, we have 12 rookies that have signed up to race here for the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series. But for the NAISCC Graveyard Race Car Graveyard Truck Series, there are so many other new drivers than that. It is great to see the pool of drivers that we are bringing in together, and you just know once there's more growth that comes in, more drivers from the Truck Series might be trickling over and continuing to grow, more rookies joining in. And this is actually a first time, because this is season 4, there is going to be a Rookie of the Year award that is going to be given to one of our rookies that are out here. Currently, it's Hunter Hayward that is leading that charge in 6th place and getting the pole position. But there's still a lot of other hungry rookie drivers like Jarrett Talmadge from the Truck Series that is coming up with a lot of speed, and plenty others that we've noted on that are also getting ready to put on a show here late in today's race.
Yeah, I'm not too sure with these top 5 drivers, starting with Maurice, ending with Cedric Hunter. I'm not too sure if all of those guys still have to come down pit road, if they've already came down pit road. But what we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast was the top 5 drivers at the stage are the only ones that secure points. So when we start getting to lap 36, lap 37, I would expect a battle between that 5th and 6th place car because every bonus point is going to matter here throughout the season.
Yeah, lap 40 is going to give us a great preview of what the white flag can give us, of drivers getting excited, making some big moves. As you can see, our leaders have actually caught up to the rear end of lap traffic and are actually have caught up to the back bumper of that of the 9, of David Funky Cold Medina. And this 9 machine, one of a couple of other drivers that actually still have to come into pit road. The 9, he lost the draft extremely early in the run and has just been falling back. Somehow last car on the lead lap, but still needs to come into pit road. It's not looking good for the 9 machine, who is in 30th position, but hey, our top 4 still need to come into pit road as well.
Yeah, top 4 needs to come down pit road, and as we've touched base on a little bit here throughout the night, hey, stage breaks at 40. You'll be able to recollect. The mistake, if you're going to make one, make sure it's in that first stage. Right now, his car looks good. Looks like he doesn't need any repairs. He's going to have to come down pit road. So stage 1 is chalked for a driver like David Medina, who's way back here. But his saving grace, like we talked about, we're going to be able to line these guys back up double after that stage break. And I think we'll start seeing a lot of these drivers learn from these first mistakes. Because remember, Sam, 12 rookie drivers, some truck drivers making their way through here. This first stage really could have just been an audition for some of these drivers to see what the competition is going to drive like. So we might see some of these drivers like David Medina in the second and final stage start advancing up front once they know that it's go time.
Yeah, Medina, we're still looking for him as he's on the lead lap, still needs to pit, as well as the 24 of Martin Morales that went through pit road. Didn't look like he got service done, but has been in the pack trying to save fuel for himself. Then we drop a couple of drivers back from the 24. We find the 21 of Jonathan Pittman, as well as the 30 of Michael. And both the 21 and the 30, Brandon, I didn't notice it until about 15 laps in. They actually started on pit road. So the 21 and the 30 started on the off put and somehow are still in the top 20. And even if they come to pit road where they lie, there's a chance they could stay on the lead lap.
Yeah, currently where they sit, Jonathan Pittman up 19 spots since that green flag drop in 16th, and Mike Kaczynski up 14 spots sitting there in that 17th. So pretty impressive drive, like you said. And I think because the stage break at 40, but these guys actually having to make that pit stop, the pit window for everybody at home is about 30 to 35 laps. So with everybody having to come down pit road before that stage break, it really opened up this track, Sam. I mean, a lot of times we're constantly waiting for the big one here at Daytona or Talladega, etc. But having those early green flag pit stops that started as early as lap 7 really allowed for everybody to kind of get tucked in a group, single file. We've been green flagged this whole way through, and it's allowed drivers like Jonathan Pittman and Mike Kaczynski to be able to start from pit road and find themselves in a top 15 situation.
Still in the top 15, still need to come into pit road. But for the drivers that have already pitted, being led by Cedric Hunter and Hunter Hayward, right now they are finding themselves up front, staying in line. And we're still expecting our front four out of Kyle Rochelle, Maurice Gomillion, James Loveland, and Sean Huttstutler all to come into pit road here in the next anywhere from 2 to 3 laps is going to be their window. But it is all about how much can you save on fuel. And Brandon, this could be a stretch, but I've seen it before in other leagues where the window is, 5 to 4 laps away from when you have to come into pit road to that of the end of stage, where drivers somehow can stay out and stretch it as far as they can go. Not going to happen for 2 of our front 4, James Loveland and Sean Huttstutler into pit road, leaving Kyle Rochelle and Maurice Gomillion still out there on their own. But Maurice Gomillion has lost the draft of the lap cars in front of him. Kyle Rochelle still in the draft, and I'm wondering, can they possibly save enough fuel to limp themselves across the line to be the leader of the stage 1 break?
Yeah, and I don't know how much of this I'm allowed to talk about, or if anybody wants to hear it. But going back to David Medina, and I won't go back to personal stories very often, but I've raced with David Medina before, and he is the master of saving fuel. I promise you that. He wins a lot of races by saving fuel. David Medina might be back in 30th, Sam, because that's exactly what he's doing. 5 laps. If you got your clutch on, or if you're turning your engine off, which you're probably not doing at Daytona, obviously, but there are ways to save fuel here at Daytona. And if there's one guy to do it, I know from experience, it's that number 9 Chevrolet of David Medina. And there's the 44 car, Maurice, getting down his pit stop. We talked about it, those top 4 drivers having to come down pit road still. He's going to drop all the way down to 14th. And even worse, he's going to come off pit road out of turn 2 onto the backstretch all by himself. So really not planning that very well. I don't know if these guys have the ability to talk in the race chat. If they do, certainly a mistake coming from the Maurice 44 machine, as he's now off pit road, but he's all by himself. He is not going to have anybody to draft with. We're going to see a slew of cars pass him right now.
Yeah, right now, Kyle Rochelle on a similar boat as the 44. They both stayed out so long that they lost time, and now they're falling back in. But they're now going to be gifting the lead to the 13. Cedric Hunter, as well as Hunter Hayward, they're leading the charge, and they're coming up to lap traffic in front of them. And they've got to figure out if they want to get by or just follow suit. I would imagine, Brandon, we're coming up close to the end of stage 1 at lap 40. You don't need to get too aggressive with lap cars in front of you.
No, lap 38. We got 2 laps to go here. Everybody's had a phenomenal run so far. You most certainly don't want to end that on a bad note. These top 5 drivers, they know they're locked in for some bonus points, plus obviously good starting position on the second stage. So up here in the front, and everybody that they're lapping right now, giving them plenty of room as they're single file, about 1 through 10 here. I think these guys are just ready and willing to finish the stage where they lie, especially those top 5 getting bonus points.
2 drivers that are going to be going a lap down, that being Dakota Moniz. Tyler Dangler going to be joining the mix, and also into pit road going to be Jonathan Pittman, that could not stretch it out any further. He's going to be able to get service done, as that should be everyone has made their pit stop and they're good to make it to the end. And now, Brandon, this is when things get a little interesting. Will Danny Cochran in the 2 try to make a move to try to get by Vincent Soar to get that 1 bonus point for that 5th place position, or will our front 4 get a little scrappy here as the 24 into pit road? Martin Morales could not stretch it any further, as he also again had to do a drive-through, did not get into his pit stall, had to come in for fuel.
Yeah, and as we end the stage here, we're going to wait for everybody to cross that start-finish line. But for these drivers that are up front, this is going to be stage 1 complete. We'll see the competition yellow drop. And it looks like there's going to be a total of 6 cars finishing that first stage a lap down. And especially that 24 car that you touched base on, you most certainly don't want to be coming down pit road as the stage is ending. So I think he tried to save fuel as much as he could. He tried to stretch it to lap 40, but just was unable to do so.
As they're coming out turn number 4, it's going to be Cedric Hunter up front. across the line, and they will get the yellow. Stage 1 conclusion goes, and it's our Season 3 champion winning stage number 1, Cedric Hunter. He finished off Season 3 on a good note, and he's starting Season 4 on even a better note. Brandon, stage 1's over. What were some of your thoughts of watching stage 1?
Well, and Vincent Sora picking up that fifth spot, throwing that in there real quick. But Sam, I talked about it just a little bit. Knowing that you have a stage break and knowing when that caution is going to come out. A lot of these guys, if you're up front and you know you're fast, yeah, sure, maybe you're racing to pass, you're going to race for the lead. But for the majority of these drivers that are, especially 10th on back, you're kind of just cruising, waiting for this stage break. You're not really taking any chances. You're not putting yourself in danger. That all begins to change on the second and final stage. It's still going to be about 55 laps of racing. But when you're in that first stage, your main priority is to survive, and every single car being able to do that. Again, having to pit before that first stage break helped out immensely. We saw cars all over the track. It kind of broke that two wide action. We ran single file a lot during those 40 green laps, but I think that's going to change here in stage 2, because now it's go time. There's no more hanging out back in 25th, 26th. You're going to have to start getting some track position, and it starts early on when this green flag dropped for stage 2.
Absolutely, and as drivers going into pit road getting service done, we'll touch note on where they lie. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we start out and race it to the end. It's the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series for Season 4. Thank you so much for joining us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. As drivers race out, it's going to be Hunter Hayward beating out Cedric Hunter for the lead, as our pole sitter wants to be up front once again. Thank you for joining us, and we will be right back in just a few.
To be the best, you can't settle for the rest. There's a reason that Makoni Setup Shop is trusted by more virtual and real-world tracks and companies than any other setup shop in iRacing. With partners such as Stafford Motor Speedway, the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, Five Flag Speedway, Speed 51, and more. When you want something done right, you go to the experts at McCody Setup Shop.
With setups available for most series on both asphalt and dirt, built by a team of professional builders consisting of some of the top talents on the service, McCody Setup Shop LLC has what you need to hit the track with confidence. Head over to McConeySetupShop.com and learn why McConey Setup Shop is the official setup shop of Richmond Raceway Esports and is partnered with some of the largest names in virtual and real racing.
And remember, at McConey Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
And we are back to racing up front. Hunter Hayward, Cedric Hunter, Nick Crawford, Vincent Sora, and Danny Cochran, your top 5 single file out here for the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series. Season 4 has started, and your Season 4 Stage 1 Race 1 winner was that of Cedric Hunter. But because of pit road in the faster pit stop coming from Hunter Hayward, he's going to get that lead position and getting shoved for the 48 is by the Hello Kitty machine. And we want to say hello to us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Saturday nights are back watching the Cup Series of the NAIS Track Racer Cup Series. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Brandon Robinson, as well as Robert Moyer in the back, giving us all the great camera work and graphics. Brandon, we got to see Stage 1 come to a conclusion. It's now all the drivers in line, and now the idea is how do we win this race? And right now, it's pretty peaceful up front all in line, but it is getting a madhouse further back in the field.
Yeah, 1 through 10 right now, all single file, everybody behind them, really trying to figure out their racing line. We see a lot of guys really looking for that opening. Everybody wants the bottom line right now, and as more drivers shuffle down to that inside line, the guys that are on the outside, they're really going to get the cold shoulder on there, and eventually they're going to have to look for an opening to get down as well. And it looks like the majority of the field has been able to do that. I think right around that 17, 18 spot, we might be double wide still, but or 2 wide, excuse me. But yeah, right there on those restarts, it's always important to try to look for that opening, try to get down to the bottom. It don't always work. That's where you see a lot of your cautions. But right now, these guys laser focused, and we are still green flag racing.
See the car, the 77 that's in all black, a little bit of silver on the side. That's the 77 of Mark Whitley. Mark Whitley is the most recent Super Speedway winner here in the NAISCC Track Series Cup Series. It was back in Season 3 at Talladega. The 77 knows how to get it done, being patient. He's got a little bit of friends behind him with that of Brian Johnson, who's 2 cars back. But right now, everyone's staying in line, but it's that of Brandon Colley up high, falling backwards is the 42, looking similar to the way that this race started for the 42, where he was up front doing well, gave a great shove to Cedric Hunter to get him up front, and then fell back to find friends as they are scattering and already side by side again from 20th on back.
Yeah, we saw Brian Johnson up with his teammate earlier in the race in that top 5 situation before they came down pit road. But no reason to freak out if you're Brian Johnson. Yeah, he's 21st right now, but that's only 4 spots from where he started this race. He qualified 17th, was able to make his way to the front of the pack during that first stage. So he's got a lot of work to cut out for him in that 28 machine, but he proved that he could do it in the first stage, and I'm sure he's ready for the challenge here in the second stage.
Oh, Joseph Causey almost got that rear bumper torn off. And man, I gotta say, iRacing, when you've got some of the best spotters, when you've got virtual spotters that can tell you precisely where cars are around you, you can make some of those daring moves that just slice in front of someone's bumper. But he got a great bump from Gregory Shaw in the 66 G Fuel machine. Gregory Shaw, we've seen race in the Cup Series later in the late half of Season 3 last season, and also has joined us for the Truck Series on Monday nights for the NAISCC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. Right now, everyone's in line playing nice. The question is, Brandon, how long are they going to be playing nice? And also, when are they thinking about pit road?
Well, I don't think we'll see early green flag pit stops like we did in the first stage. Going back to that, that was on lap 7. We're not going to see that here on the second stage. These guys will probably go on the later half of that pit window, which we've talked about, 30 to 35 laps. I think that's where we'll fall for the majority of these green flag pit stops. As far as playing nice, I mean, we're all single file right now. That's just going to have to do with how this draft plays out. Is somebody going to be able to get a run to get on the outside? And if they do, are they going to have help? Sometimes we think we get these big, strong runs in the draft because we do, but the moment we step out, nobody comes with us, or maybe only one car will come up to that top line with us. And that's just not enough, Sam. You need a lot of help to be able to pull off that outside line when everybody's tucked in on that yellow line.
Oh, absolutely. You're going to need all the help that you can. I think really that in the first stage, we saw everyone making those early pit stops. That's what shuffled all the drivers out, put them all in curious spots why we have 5 drivers a lap down. Is because they lost the draft, because everyone being shuffled around, losing the draft, and not able to stick with as one. Expecting a similar strategy here of drivers staying in line, not trying to make any too many bold moves early in this run, as drivers expect to come in pit road around lap 70 to 75. But the pit window looks to be opening up around 65. I'm wondering here, Brandon, do you think any of these drivers could be thinking about making that undercut and pitting early right when the pit window opens to make it from that pit stop?
They may. I mean, we may see some drivers come down here within the next couple of laps, maybe lap 55, lap 60. But I still believe a lot of these drivers will stay out as long as they possibly can, as long as their fuel will allow them to. So, yeah, we might see a handful of drivers start coming down pit road a little bit earlier. But you really only want to make sure that you're coming down pit road once, right? I mean, if you can go 35 laps, that will cover you. Everybody only needs to do one green flag pit stop. Now, of course, at the end of this race, we're probably going to see some caution, Sam. That's when it's really going to start to heat up. That 10 laps to go, 12 laps to go, that's when we're going to start seeing a lot of these drivers start making some moves. I've been paying attention to Cedric Hunter in that Hello Kitty car and that 13 machine. He keeps trying to just a little bit on the outside of the 48 car, but Nick Crawford behind him in his 11 Chevrolet not peaking with him, so he ducks right back into that 48 car and rides his bumper around. So we might start seeing these guys get a little I don't want to say impatient, because right now, I mean, you got to race for the win, but I don't think too much longer we'll start seeing all this single file. You guys are going to start making some moves here within the next 10 laps or so.
Yeah, and also the little bit of peaking that we're seeing as drivers, because of up front, our front 4 really stacked on top of one another, trying to give a little bit of fresh air to their engines, trying to cool off as much as they can with their oil temps and water temps, not trying to blow up their engine early in this race. As you're seeing the 13 of Cedric Hunter just right on the back bumper of the 48, trying to get this line moving and trying to stay as fast as possible, not trying to give a little bit of an advantage to the drivers behind them, as we're seeing this field all racing as hard as they can and moving high. And think about getting out of the way. Looks to be that of Sean Hutzstetler that felt like he was having a little bit of internet issues in the 94, deciding to just fall back, get a little bit out of line. Excuse me, that was actually the 31, That was that of Thomas Green, who was trying to find his teammate of Jarrett Talmadge that has fallen back to ninth place.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, a couple of drivers right now that are in some danger here, who may want to start thinking about coming down pit road a little bit earlier, starts back in 28 with Brendan Jenks, Maurice Gamillion, and Dylan Walterman. These guys are only a 4-car draft. They're way off pace from the leader, and because of that, they're going to start losing pace every lap we go, and they're going to start fading away from that main pack, who are all pretty much single file, bumper to bumper. If there was anybody that maybe wants to come down a little bit longer on pit road, it's going to be these guys, because they have a lot of ground to make up, and they're continuing to lose ground because they lost that big draft up front.
Yeah, and watching them, this 4-pack that we're seeing, that of Brandon Jenkins, also Maurice Gamillion, as well as lap traffic of the 30 of Michael Chisinski, as well as the 22 of Tyler Dangler, are going to be involved in this 4-car group. they're only going about 2-3 miles per hour slower than the large pack that we have for our lead, which is 26 cars strong in line, trying to move as fast as possible, utilizing the draft. Well, this group that we see on screen, there are only 4 cars that are in line, and they're slow and they're trying their best to utilize the draft. But Brandon, you probably touched on more. How does the draft work fully for these drivers?
Well, so especially at a super speedway with this, these cup cars, the next gen cup cars are a totally different story. But with these cup cars, the draft is huge. And on these super speedways, the more cars that you can have in the same draft, you're going to be scooting a lot more. So let's say you got, 10 cars that are all drafting with each other. And then behind them, maybe a few seconds shy of them, there's only a 4-car draft, but they've lost the draft of the 10-car pack. That 10-car pack is going to start slowly drifting away because there's just more force in that draft that has more cars in it. Hopefully that made sense to everybody listening at home. But that's the best way to describe it. These cars have a ton of draft, especially at the super speedways. And the moment you start to lose that draft, Sam, it's gone forever.
Yeah, and if you're tucked in and close to one another, the tighter the air can be that is bouncing off, the faster with that momentum, like you were saying. But when you see these drivers bobbling or going side by side, it's like putting a parachute out when you're trying to slow down. You want to stay in line so it's slim and the air is moving quickly. You get a parachute out and you're slowing down, and that's what's happening with this group that is now kind of split up into a 2-car tango for themselves. Not really going anywhere fast, but continuing to go backwards. But a driver that's moving forward in 11th place. We move up and see that of James Tremmel that is riding up front in 11th. Biggest mover so far there, Brandon, up 18 positions from where he started.
Yeah, 18 spots up to 11th. And to touch base on the draft a little bit, it may look easy at a super speedway, everybody's single file. You might think everybody's just full throttle. I guarantee you, the guys that are 1 through 4 right there that are really tucked in, the only guy that's full throttle throughout the entire track is Hunter Hayward. Cedric Hunter, Nick Crawford, Vincent Sora. You get such a good surge of draft. They are feathering that gas pedal. It is not all out for those guys, or else you're just going to plow the guy that's in front of you right off the track. So it does take a lot of patience. It takes a lot of feathering on the accelerator to make sure you're pulling off a little bit, because that draft will carry your momentum through. You're not going to lose anything by it, but it's certainly not as easy as it looks, especially the more cars, the more intimidating that it may be. So just for the guys at home that are watching this, it's not all flat out for those guys that are in this draft. They're most certainly feathering that gas pedal, making sure that they're not taking out the car in front of them.
Oh, absolutely. And really, when you're going full throttle like Hunter Hayward is, and some of the drivers that are being the lead car of these packs, they have to stay steady, because if they don't, the driver behind them, some drivers, they have focus points where they'll focus on staying on the yellow line, and that's where they're staying until they get in the corners. And for some drivers, they make the mistake of keeping their eye on the driver in front of them on their back bumper on where they want to hit the car, which can get you wobbling and not being steady, which is losing time, ground, and hurting. But if we go on board with one of the drivers, you can get a really good sense. And Brandon, I know that it's something that can be very difficult at times, but you really cannot see anything, as we're going to pop on board with the 2 of Danny Cochran, and the 2 we're going to see. You really can't see what's in front of you when you're trying to get on someone's back bumper. You can only see what's directly ahead of you, but no one really passed that unless they move up.
Yeah, speedway racing, like you said, I mean, that back bumper's right in your view. And it gets even closer than what we're looking at right now, especially when you start bump drafting. But the one thing is to just stay focused. Don't worry about what the guys are doing, 2 cars in front of you, because you can't see them. And it's all about just trusting the guys that are in front of you and trusting the guys that are behind you. However, if you're worried about the guys that are behind you, you can't worry about what's going on in front of you. So it's you just got to be laser focused in these drafts, high speeds. You're worried about hitting your lines and just making sure that sometimes if we see these cars peek out a little bit, Sam, it might not be them trying to make a move. They might just be trying to see what's going on in front of them 3 or 4 cars ahead.
Yeah, and there's sometimes the lead driver actually will purposely drive about a half a car length above the yellow line to allow the drivers behind him to see when the turn's coming. I know that there are some drivers that if you're riding right on that white line, it's very hard to see where to make the corners and passes, but also the yellow line, there is a rule with the double yellow. Brandon, you can touch on it a little bit more.
Yeah, so let me pull up these notes here about that yellow line. Of course, there's no passing on the yellow lines or anything like that. There's no pinching other drivers below that yellow line. Some tracks like Chicagoland, Atlanta, Las Vegas, you can really get underneath the lines, but they can do that IRL as well. So it's no penalty here in iRacing. You can be able to cut that track. But here at Daytona, there's no going underneath the yellow in this league at any time. Not to make a pass. You can't force anybody down under yellow. You see a lot of these guys that are tucked by that yellow line because that's the best racing line there is at Daytona. You want to make sure that you're tucked by that yellow line. Yeah, most certainly not wanting to get below it.
Yeah, not wanting to get below it, or you will get penalized, and could be points, it could be loss of positions, lots of different ways as race control is watching over, making sure that everyone plays nice here tonight. As a big thanks to everyone that is watching us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, getting to watch and see the first race of Season 4 for the NAISCC Track Car Cup Series. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is that of Brandon Robinson, as well as that of Robert Moyer running productions and helping you all see the amazing action that we get to view from the booth. And it is so much nicer to watch it from the booth because we're not the people worrying about the big one that is looming over these drivers' minds. When will it happen? And now the question is, when will that aggression start to kick in? Because we're past halfway, Brandon. Drivers are still in line, but it seems like everyone's mentality is that pit road is where you're going to make a lot of your passes or moves instead of on track.
Yeah, it really is. And touching back with stage one, again, I hate to keep bringing this up, but really making sure that you're not coming down pit road with just one or two other drivers. You're really wanting to make sure that you come down with a lot of people. And here we go, leaders coming down pit road. This is where the action is going to take place. Make sure you don't get a speeding penalty or anything like that. And a lot of times, Sam, if you're back there in 8th, 9th, or 10th, you're not going to come down pit road unless the leaders come down pit road. If you think that you want to pit, you might not until the leader does, because you certainly want to be able to keep pace with him. You want to make sure that you're in that same draft as the lead cars are. Some guys obviously choosing to stay out. They're going to run it as long as they can. But I think this is a good decision here on lap 66. This is going to be it. This will be the final pit stop. Unless, of course, we have a caution. But I really don't think that's going to matter, Sam, because they only had 2 sets of tires. So if they took tires in that first stage, which maybe some of them didn't, but if they did, that's it. They have no more tires. They have no more reason to come down pit road. This should be the last pit stop for the majority of these drivers.
There was a lot of playing going on getting out of pit road, though. On the apron, there were multiple passes going on as the second group coming into pit road and contact was made. Drivers having issues. James Tremmel, as well as looking to believe that was Adam Westfield making contact with one another, and major backups for both the 20 and the 88. They had to back up, get into their pit lane, and back on track. Excuse me, actually, it was the 51 that had the contact, I believe. Oh my goodness, surprise, surprise. Pit road, the most dangerous place on the racetrack, not when you're going almost 200 miles per hour on the racing surface.
Yeah, and seeing some of these guys having to jump to pit roads, that's not good either. They're going to have to take the tow here at Daytona. So a lot of action going on down pit road. This is what we expected, though. Stage one, it's more calm. The brakes come in. There's not as much pressure, but when it's the final stage, these green flag pit stops is exciting for us to watch, but probably not as exciting for the drivers down there.
3 wide as these are all the drivers trying to get back underway. As the 66, we move up to see that of, Gregory Shaw being absolutely shunted off course. And on the racing surface, he gets back going. He's slipping and sliding. Brandon, Oh no, disaster for the G Fuel machine.
Yeah, it really is. And because that was a one-car incident and he was off, he was down into the grass, that's not going to pull up a caution. iRacing won't throw out a caution, even if it's multiple cars, if you're down there on the grass on a super speedway. The rule with NAISCC, if it's just a one-car incident, they're also not going to throw that yellow flag. So if there was 2-3 cars that were piled up in there, they would have thrown the caution, but it was just a one-car incident, the 66 car going down into the grass, and unfortunately, that could be a race breaker for that G Fuel machine.
As he had to come into pit road, Gregory Shaw, one of the last drivers that was in line in that front pack, has now dipped into pit road and has fallen disastrously low to 26 and soon to lose even more positions, about to go a lap down. But because we're seeing more drivers coming to pit road, it's giving opportunity to the drivers that are up front that have not made their pit stop. And to the lead, a rookie. And it's good to see rookies up front showing their strengths. It's that of Aaron Jackson of the 18 leading the way, having that of Martin Morales, as well as a lap machine in between them. Lap cars, lead lap cars working together here up front there, Brandon.
Yeah, and unfortunately, going back to that 66, he actually had to lift up. The 24 car in front of him looked like he had just gotten out of the racing line a little bit, maybe even got a little bit loose. So the 24 machine actually had to lift a little bit, which means Gregory Shaw had to do the same. Because he lifted, he got his left rear quarter panel tapped, and that's what sent him down into the infield. So unfortunate for him, he was trying to save the front end of his car by not hitting the person in front of him. But as we've seen many times before, the person behind you maybe not always getting the memo, and unfortunately, he got taken out.
Got taken out, and drivers that are now up front got to make a decision. When do they want to come into pit road? That being Aaron Jackson, Martin Morales, that of Brendan Jenks, as well as Martin Mauricio Million. Still, our front four need to come into pit road on top of the lap cars that are mixed and mingled with them. Going to take a lot of time and effort to figure out as a group, when do you want to come in, and a lot of good communication, as we're expecting this lead group. They're going to have to come into pit road, at least for the 24. Got to come into pit road here in the next 5 to 7 laps before they start running out of fuel.
Yeah, Nick Crawford has the advantage over Cedric Hunter and Hunter Hayward, the guys that have led the majority of the laps here at Daytona. So a really good green flag pit stop by Nick Crawford. Once we get through this green flag shuffling, these green flag pit stops, it will be that 11 machine of Nick Crawford leading this race in front of race favorites Cedric Hunter and Hunter Hayward.
Yeah, and really got to say, for that of Nick Crawford, Cedric Hunter, Hunter Hayward, Zach Hall, and Brian Johnson, those drivers are all in an alliance. Oh no, one contact. It's going to be that of Evan Smith, pushed into the excuse me, that is actually going to be a different driver that got pushed in, but issues. That's Jacob Watson, who now has to get back onto the racing surface, the 54. Oh no. And now he's about to slide. More traffic coming. He's got to be careful. Oh my goodness. That is that was a scary moment, knowing there was more traffic coming and still a large pack coming. Brandon, it just seems like everyone that was in that lead group, they're bouncing and banging off of one another, and they still need to come into pit road.
Yeah, some aggressive driving coming out there. Obviously, I don't think anything intentional. Unfortunately, the 24 car of Martin Morales making a little bit of contact there, which is what we've seen. And again, unfortunately, that there's no caution. So we see our second driver within the last 5 laps basically see their race come to an end a little bit early here. As these really start banging it out now. We talked about this, Sam. The later this race gets, this is where we're going to start seeing some of this, especially knowing that you have to come down for a pit stop again. It's no hold barred right now, and it is pedal to the floor.
Yeah, and that's going to be the 31 who's drifting backwards, now able to find a spot to work with, as that was Thomas Green. But our front four still need to come into pit road, and it's looking like they're going to be coming into pit road here in the next couple of laps, and a driver that has now gone a lap down. Going to be, seeing more and more drivers going a lap down. First driver a lap down going to be Tyler Dengler, who is going to have to come to pit road as well with this lead group. First driver of those that have already pitted going to be Adam Westfield in 27th. So if we have a caution that comes out, right now it would be Tyler Dengler, but if we continue to go and after green flag pit stops conclude, next driver that would be in line would be Adam Westfield. As there's still a lot of shuffling going on in this front pack on where drivers want to lie for themselves. But Brandon, we're coming in. They're coming into pit road. Lead group went from a nice good pack of 8 or 9 drivers to now just a pack of 4. And now pit road extremely busy as Maurice Gomillion did not come into pit road with that lead group.
Yeah, the 18 car trying to get into his pit box, that being a rookie driver. But you really get to see some of the guys that have experience, that have practice coming down to pit road. It might sound silly, but we see some of these cars, the 24 car specifically, already done with his pit stop. It was the 18 car that had first dibs coming down pit road. But with, you know, other cars practicing more, like the 24 car, I mean, he flew to his pit box coming off of turn 4, whereas the 18 was a little reluctant to carry that speed down pit road. So you most certainly see the guys that have the race experience, that spend extra time practicing coming down pit road. They carry so much speed. They know when they need to brake. And that was just really awesome to watch that 24 machine pick up those spots by being able to just race down pit road.
Also, Mark Morales got a lot more notes. Again, he missed his pits coming into pit road the first time he came in, missed his pit box, had to drive through, then make a late pit at the end of stage 1. So the 24, much better stop for himself, going to have to come through, but it's Maurice Gomillion continuing to stretch out the fuel for the 44. And I think for Gomillion, got to be thinking and banking on a caution possibly to come out, but that is a lot of hoping for the 44 that is seeing time running out for himself.
Well, Maurice still still having to come down pit road, but those guys that he's driving next to, those are not for position. Nick Crawford in the 11 car is actually in second place. He was the guy that beat out Cedric Hunter and Hunter Hayward off of pit road. So these guys that are with Maurice right now are not for position. These are lapped cars, and really, if I'm Maurice, I feel like I'm a sitting duck right now.
Oh, absolutely. And looking at some of the other drivers that he's around that are going to have to come to pit road, neither of the drivers that he has around him are going to have to come in. He's going to be by himself, and it's going to be a troublesome time for the 44. As Maurice Gomillion is still going to go keeping another lap, it looks like. But for us in the booth, we're going to step aside one last time. And when we come back, we take you to the end. 22 laps to go. The first race of season 4 for the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series. All the amazing action here on Freaking Fast Broadcasting. We'll be back in just a few. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we are under caution. There was an incident right when we went to break, and we are now going to take a quick look at it as we take a look here. Incident spinning as Martin Morales already was spun at this point. Hard contact was there late into the incident, but Brandon, you got a better look and a deeper look at this incident that came with the 24 being involved.
Yeah, just looking at it from a different perspective, Morales really trying to do everything he can to avoid hitting the car in front of him. We've seen him get a little bit squirrely there, trying to do everything he can to avoid taking out that 22 car. And unfortunately, the car behind him not showing him the same courtesy, if you will, and getting into the back bumper of that 24 car with the speeds that these guys carry. You see it right there. You can bump draft on the straightaways for sure, but once you start getting into these turns, you got to be real careful on whose bumper you get into, and that's what we saw right there with Morales. So unfortunately there, Morales trying to play it safe, trying to stay off the bumper of the 22 car, having to lift so much to where the car behind him really just coming in with so much speed and momentum just takes out that back bumper of Morales.
Yeah, and luckily for Morales, he does have a fast repair if needed, but he is getting the repairs done. Currently, we do have two drivers that have officially parked it for the day, that being Max Foner, who officially has DNF'd, but Jonathan Pittman, disconnection for himself. Looks like internet issues for the 21 that has knocked him out of the service. 19 laps to go, soon to be 18 laps to go here, Brandon. These drivers, they were keeping themselves together, patient, and a little bit of trickery of drivers trying to fake that they're going to come into pit road. But I'm wondering, would anyone try to attempt to come into pit road if you're further back, if there would be any advantage coming in?
Well, the only way that would be an advantage, and we touched base on it a little bit ago, is in that first stage if all you did was come down and get fuel. If you saved both sets of tires, yes, coming down right now, if you're outside of the top 12 right now, maybe even out of that top 15, if you have an extra set of tires, maybe you think about coming down, but you also might be thinking to yourself, when we get down within 10 laps to go, we might see another caution. So some of these drivers might even be saving that here on this caution, banking on coming down pit road later in the race for fresh tires.
Fresh tires would be nice for some. There were a couple of drivers that came in, decided to get some service done for themselves, and another driver has officially parked it, that being Aaron Jackson, who was leading for a short period when the middle of green flag pit stop. So at least got a bonus point for leading a lap, goes to the 18. But up front, Brandon, it was looking dominant for a second there. It's the 11 of Nick Crawford, Cedric Hunter, Zach Hall, Hunter Hayward, as well as that of Brian Johnson, your top 5, with Patrick Hernandez, Ryan Berg, Kyle Rochelle, Tom Sinchek, Jarrett Talmadge, going to be finishing out your top 10. Drivers are stacked up. They're getting ready to go. This is it's going to be a mad dash. 17 laps to go and we go green again. And this is a way to make a statement early on. Who's going to get the first win? It was Brian Johnson that did it last year. It was Kyle Rochelle that did it the season prior. We'll see. Can someone else notch their name into the history books? Green flag in the air, 17 laps to go, and Nick Crawford getting the best launch that he can, leaving Zach Hall all on his lonesome on the outside. Now, the 32 needs to find space, and I think he might have it in front of his former teammate of Brian Johnson.
Yeah, 32 car really needing to dip down in front of that 28. A good restart for the 11 car here with this series. The pole sitter or the guy that's restarting in that first position on these restarts do get to choose whether they restart on the inside or the outside. So it was kind of interesting to see Nick choose to be on the outside there, but it worked out for him. He was able to tuck down below Cedric Hunter before they had even made it through the front stretch. And we see these guys 1 through 8 or 9 all single file.
Yeah, again, the alliances have been made as drivers further back in a little bit squirrely. Got to hold on, and they're wrecking. It's Brandon Colley, hard contact for himself, and other drivers piling in. Oh, the big one. It strikes in the middle of the pack where drivers are trying to gain as much as they can.
Yeah, and without looking at the replay, Sam, I'm almost 100% this is probably caused by a car on the outside line looking to tuck down on the inside. I could be way off, but that would be my assumption before we look at these replays.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was certainly drivers just trying to find where they wanted to place themselves. As you're going to see the contact on the outside, that's going to be Dylan Walterman, and on the inside, shuffling a big bump, going to go to Brandon Colley that launches him in, and everyone else, it kind of just turns into accordion of nowhere is safe. And the 88 of Westfield was just cruising on the inside, trying to hope that he was going to get hit, but was not able to secure safety and into the inside wall.
Yeah, that actually kicked off with the 44 car. He thought he had cleared the 20 car, tried getting back up. Well, it looks like there's actually two different incidences there. But that first one involving the 44 car, he thought he had the 20 cleared. He tried getting up in front of him, and he just didn't have the room. So that's what happened with Adam Westfield. And then we see these other guys, Michael Kaczynski, the 42 car, the 6 car, these guys all making contact. Those were some hard licks there. Most certainly going to be multiple drivers coming down pit road using that one fast repair, Sam, a handful of drivers. That's going to be it for the rest of the race. So we'll see how that plays out for them. Up front, though, nothing changes with Nick Crawford, Cedric Hunter, and Hunter Hayward, your 1 through 3.
Yeah, and with the timing of this caution, might be putting us around 11 to 12 laps to go once we go green once again. And the question of how many drivers are going to have their fast repair left, I think at the end of this race is going to be a big question mark. But up front, Nick Crawford, Cedric Hunter, Hunter Hayward, Zach Hall, Brian Johnson, Patrick Hernandez, Ryan Bird, Tom Sinchak, Mark Whitley, and James Loveland. Our top 10, they're loving it. Up front, they felt very comfortable. They were all in line. But it was everyone in 20th on back involved in that incident and now getting service done, being led by, Dakota Moniz and a couple of other drivers that have to come into pit road. This is going to be a hard pill to swallow for some of these drivers, no longer having that safety net of the fast repair anymore.
Yeah, we see David Medina getting the lucky dog there. That's going to put him on the lead lap. He's had trouble ever since really the end of stage 1, so it's good to see that 9 Chevrolet get his lead back. It looks like he's going to be restarting 28th. Right now, Zach Hall up 18 spots in row 2. He's going to be restarting in 4th. So a big move for him. Right now, though, it looks like the 42 car down 21 spots since the beginning of this race. Certainly not how you want to start out the season.
No, not at all. The 42 of Brandon Colley, part of the Category 5 esports team. He was one of the drivers actually kind of got the the short end of the stick most of last season for the Category 5 team. As for Cedric Hunter, Zach Hall, and also for Brian Johnson, when Johnson was a part of Category 5 last season, it was complete dominance of those 3 drivers, and it was Brandon Colley that got unfortunately taken out at the start of the season for Season 3, and he's had bad luck that has followed this 42 team all through Season 3, and also has been involved in the wreck here today. We'll see if he can rebound, and a lot of other very fast drivers caught up in this wreck. I mean, Sean Hutzstutler, as well as, you look at that of Thomas Green involved with this thing. James Tremmel, who had moved up and was one of our biggest movers at one moment, caught up in having to use fast repairs. So a lot of our drivers that were up front at one moment that had a lot of speed, they're going to have to figure out how to recoup, get back up there, and kind of figure out how to cut their way through this field. But it is a lot harder to do in this aero package than it was in the previous aero package that was on iRacing, where you can make a lot more hero moves, but now you got to hope that you've got drivers around you that are on the same mindset of moving forward and making some big moves.
Yeah, speaking of big moves, Mark Whitley and Tom Sinchak both up 15 spots respectively. They've cracked the top 10 for the first time here tonight. If you're Nick Crawford up there in that 11 machine, I would have to assume he'll take as many cautions as possible, as he knows Cedric Hunter, Hunter Hayward, and Zach Hall all trying to run him down. If you can just stay under caution, it keeps the nerves down. You don't have these guys, making a move on you. So Nick Crawford in a good spot right now, going to be restarting on the outside, just like he did the last restart. And we'll see if that 32 car of Zach Hall tries to dive down a little bit sooner. Sam, on the last start, we saw him kind of get left in the dust there on that high side.
Outside line, if you've got drivers behind you, you get moving. But if you are all on your lonesome, you're going backwards. Pace truck is off, and we are green for 12 more laps. We'll see if we get another quick caution or we race it to the end as Nick Crawford, another fabulous start where he can drop down low and automatically trying to just tow, give a little bit more help to Zach Hall, as Hall is side by side for second place. As that outside line, they're not backing down. They're staying strong, still side by side, and they're trying to make the move to the lead.
Yeah, coming out of the backstretch here, we see that high side all stick together here. That inside line doing a really good job of closing the door so that those outside liners can't come down towards that yellow line. Of course, Nick Crawford being able to do that. He did have the ability to choose in that restarting zone when to go. So the advantage always to that guy who's restarting in first. But we see this high side here fall back to about that fourth position, but these guys are going to get a ton of momentum running that high side. I wouldn't be surprised with 12 laps to go if that high side remains there. And we see the 13 car now of Cedric Hunter try to make his move. He gets blocked by Nick Crawford, and they're both down on that yellow line going into turn one.
Crawford, he got such a large bump that he actually lost. He got so far ahead that it gave them a major run to the inside, where I thought for a second Cedric Hunter was going to duck to the high line, try to make a late move. Decides to still follow suit. Inside line, 4 drivers in alliance, as 3 of them all on the same team. It's the Mag 9 of Nick Crawford, as well as Hunter Hayward and Brian Johnson, all working with one another, with the former teammate of Category 5, Brian Johnson, his past teammate of Cedric Hunter, our Season 3 champion, in second place, holding strong. But that outside line, I gotta say, Brayden, they're not going anywhere. They're losing ground. I think it's because they're running too close to that inside line. The side draft, it's hurting them now.
Yeah, and they're going to continue to struggle. I was just getting ready to say, how cool is it to see Patrick Hernandez up there in the top 10 at the time on that outside line? He was 5th or 6th. Obviously racing here with a heavy heart. He's got the memorial out there, losing a loved one. Awesome to see him into the top 10. Unfortunately, though, like you said, that high side really starting to fall back here a little bit, and not good if you're stuck out there on the high side like that 32 car of Zach Hall and everybody behind him. And you can see there, Sam, when you start falling back, nobody's coming up there to help. They're all staying on that yellow line, staying on that inside draft, and we got somebody else. Oh.
It's going to be Dylan Walterman and others sliding around. And Brandon Colley also involved. More drivers, late contact to 30, making more pressure. And we saw the major difference. That outside line was going nowhere, and just one simple bobble around the 8 just completely chain reaction. And there goes another caution. And then the timing of this one, this is going to be about a 3 or 4 lap shootout at the end of this race that we're going to be going into as we take another look at this incident and where it lies. Just the middle of the path. They got 3 wide, and chaos ensued after that.
Yeah, there's really only about 4 or 5 cars throughout that whole ordeal that are going to have to come down pit road and either use their fast repair, or unfortunately, if they already have it used, it's not in their pocket anymore. They're going to have some serious required and optionals. Everybody else in front of them obviously making it out. But there were a few cars dancing behind them, being able to make it through that jam on the back end of that. So some guys definitely winning big because of that, but unfortunately, we saw about 3 or 4 drivers really just take a hard lick.
Yeah, I was rewatching some of the incidents that happened. I know Ethan Smith got into that of Brandon Colley, and one little bit of something that we've touched a lot on Monday night, Zach Hall and myself that cover that, is drivers, when they see smoke, some drivers react by letting off the gas or getting on the brake, trying to avoid the carnage. Other drivers still full throttle, trying to just send themselves through a wreck and kind of add more damage and more fuel to the fire. And it looked like one of the drivers did that. The 30 came in and collected some more drivers into the mix, as more drivers not able to finish out this race, as it looks like that of Brendan. Jenks going to be a driver that has disconnected, kind of similar to what we saw for that of Jonathan Pittman. Sadly not able to make it any further, as our fourth caution of the day, third on-track incident to bring out a yellow. But Brandon, we are getting ready for a little bit of a 4-lap shootout here to finish out this race.
Yeah, I like to call that the old coal trickle effect, going back to Days of Thunder, the guys that see smoke and they really try to challenge themselves of going full speed. Sometimes it works out to your advantage. We talked about it in stage one. You can't really focus about the guys behind you as much as you have to focus about what's going on in front of you. Sometimes you can make it through that smoke going full speed. Other times you try to do the right thing, you slow down, and you end up just getting plowed through from behind. So a couple of those drivers, it's really, what are you going to do? You're in bad shape there when you see 2 or 3 cars in front of you start to spin out, hit the wall. You just try to get down to the infield, I guess, as quickly as you can. Some guys like to do that as fast as they can. Other guys like to hit the brakes and go through there smooth. But yes, our fourth caution of the night, 7 laps to go. By the time we do these caution laps here, it's going to be a shootout. Again, Nick Crawford sitting in beautiful shape here. It takes a long time to build momentum enough to be able to poke your nose out on that outside line. We're talking probably 10, 15 laps to really try to get yourself going. So Nick Crawford going to have the advantage here. Probably a green, white, checkered flag, I would assume we're going to finish on. And Nick Crawford in a good spot. And it really all goes down to what we talked about earlier, Sam. He won that off pit road on a green flag pit stop.
Yeah, a green flag pit stop where I know I kind of didn't completely cover that, but when they came out of pit road, there were a lot of passing going on after they had left pit road lane and on the apron, a lot of side-by-side. There was actually 3 wide racing going through the corner to see who was going to be in what lead position. And it was Nick Crawford that got it done, but that was all the way back on lap 70. That was back when it was 25 laps to go. Well, now it's time to see. With coming closer and closer to the end, drivers are stacking up. It's going to be a 5-lap shootout here. And if we have a caution that comes out before this race comes to, before we get the white flag, we will go into overtime where we have 3 attempts if needed. But Brandon, do you think we're going to be seeing the overtime, or do you think maybe we can make it to the end here?
I think we'll see an overtime.
Yeah, that's usually what we get to see.
I'll cut it to you short and simple. I would put money down that we're going to see some overtime. Look, it's the first race of the season. Everybody's played nice up into this point, but this is where you really start to get that momentum, solidify yourself as a points favorite. It all starts week 1 here at Daytona. A lot of these drivers, they've been holding back, but now once you start seeing a handful of cautions like we've seen, we're on our 4th one, but we've seen 3 cautions here in stage 2 with 5 laps to go here. I think the guys up front are going to play nice for the most part. We'll get back to single file. Nick Crawford is going to dip down in front of the 13 on the restart. These guys will be single file. But for the guys that are sitting back 6th, 7th, 8th, and on back, these guys are really going to be battling it out for track position. So, yes, I do believe we're going to see some overtime.
Well, they're stacked up, ready to go. It's my first time working with Brandon here tonight. It's the first time some of these drivers are running with the rookies, but it's time to see who can win to start out the best way for season 4. Green flag in the air. It's going to be that of Nick Crawford. Also that of Brandon Colley. That of Brian Johnson making the move forward. But you got to watch out for Cedric Hunter as well as Mark Whitley. The 77. Last time we were at a super speedway, the 77 won, but he's left out to dry after a fabulous move by the 15 and the 48 as that inside lane is moving there, Brandon.
Yeah, we see the 28 car get in front of the 13. That's Brian Johnson. We touched base with him at the beginning of stage 2. He was all the way back in 21st.
Oh, no.
He's now finding himself up in 2nd.
Contact going to be made, falling back, losing time. That's Zach Hall off the grass as we continue to stay green. The 32 stuck in the middle of the field. Contact ruining your shot out of turn number 4. We're coming to 4 laps to go. Up front, there's single file, but the question is, which driver will make the move and who's going to follow him? Most likely it's going to be the driver in 5th place, Vincent Sora. He's got Ryan Bird, Danny Cochran, also Talmadge. Will this group work together, or do they just watch Nick Crawford go out and win his first race of the NAISCC, the Track Racer Cup Series in his career? We'll see if the 11 can finally get it done. He doesn't have the rookie symbol. He started racing last season, never got a win, but Brandon, getting your first, it is so memorable.
Yeah, it really is, especially in a league race, especially at Daytona. Everybody loves a super speedway win. It's going to be important to see when Brian Johnson and or Cedric Hunter, Hunter Hayward make their move. You don't want to do it too soon here at a super speedway. With 3 laps to go, that probably is a little too soon. You don't want to dip out there. You'll go from 2nd to 12th really quick here at Daytona. So these guys right now, they're going to have to stick in the draft with Nick Crawford and really wait till the last lap to be able to make a move, because you don't want to do it too soon.
If you're up front in the top 5, you really don't think about making a move until that white flag. But if you're anywhere from 10th on back, you got to start surging forward now. Otherwise, you're not going to have a shot. 3 laps to go, coming to 2 laps to go. It's Nick Crawford, Brian Johnson, Cedric Hunter, Hunter Hayward, Vincent Sora, your top 5. Ryan Bird, Danny Cochran, that of Talmadge, Causey, Whitley, and Loveland, your top 11. As we're coming to 2 laps to go, it's all Nick Crawford ahead. And the question is, who will make the move first as it's 2 laps to go? Brandon, it's not looking like anyone's willing to make the surge just yet.
Well, and you see these guys spread out a little bit, too. The 28 right there on the back bumper of Nick Crawford, but behind them, everybody's giving each other a little bit of a buffer between each other right now. I don't think anybody but the 28 is really in any kind of position to take that high side and have a real shot of passing Nick Crawford.
And right now, I think the biggest question for Brian Johnson, the winner of this race last season, he won for season 3, was on the best start he could ask for, and won the most races. If you start out with the win at the start of the season, you got a target on your back. For Nick Crawford, he's got the biggest one. White flag in the air. It's your Freaky Fast 1 to go. If you'd like to sponsor the White Flag sponsor, hit us up on social media. But Nick Crawford into turn number 1, the 11 machine. He's got the face of Zach Hall right in his mirror, but it's Brian Johnson wheeling the 28. As they're coming out of turn number 2, Brandon, it's looking like Nick Crawford, he's going into a great place. Well, watch out for Cedric Hunter.
Yeah, you see the 13 and the 48 now. They've connected. They're going to try to make their own run as they get down into turn 3.
Gloves are off. It's all about who can get the win. Through 3 and 4, Nick Crawford, he's ahead. It's Brian Johnson. Will he make a late move? Here comes the 13, our season 3 champ. They're going to go force it side by side, rubbing and baking, but it's Nick Crawford getting the win, starting season 4 on the top marker. Your NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series winner here for the Daytona 250. It's Nick Crawford in the 11.
Yeah. Phenomenal finish by Nick Crawford there, able to hold on to it. He had the pressure of Brian Johnson. We saw the 13 car of Cedric Hunter try to make a run for it. What actually happened was, I think that 13 car would have had a good run, Sam, but he actually got into the back end of Brian Johnson, and that slowed down his momentum.
Oh, no.
As these guys have a little bit of a beat down with the leader here. I've seen this multiple times before. A heck of a run for Nick Crawford, and everybody else just following suit.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Crawford, those are friends of his, as you've got the magnitude 9 drivers that Nick Crawford is part of with Brian Johnson, Hunter Hayward, but they're also allies of the category of 5 esports team that has Cedric Hunter, Zach Hall, and Brandon Cawley, but it's the 11 running the magnitude 9 scheme, getting his first win for the NAISCC League, getting his career set. The car looks a little banged up. It wasn't banged up when he crossed the line, but he gets to burn it down here at Daytona. Your Track Racer Daytona 250 winner, Nick Crawford. We're going to take a quick break as he gets to burn it down, but I'll be talking with Nick Crawford, your winner, that of Brian Johnson and Hunter Hayward in just a few. Stick with us. It's the post show here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series for the post show for the Track Racer Daytona 250. Got to see Nick Crawford holding off the rest of the pack, but it didn't come without a little bit of bumping and bruising from the drivers behind the 11. We're going to start things off with the 48 of that of Hunter Hayward. We got Hunter Hayward up in the booth. Hunter got a third place finish, but you got a little bit of a bump from an ally and a friend out there in Cedric Hunter. But man, give us your thoughts of tonight's race.
Oh man, a pretty kind of a boring race. The first 90% of the race, really kind of just everyone single filed out and just hitting their marks the whole race, and not much going on until that final pit stop, and we kind of licked the stamp and went. Um, yeah, I kind of had a little bit of a miscommunication with Cedric, and I apologize on that. I was gonna go with him. I thought he was gonna make a move on the backstretch. I was trying to help him with a big run, and he unfortunately waited until coming off of four and just lost all the momentum. And so I decided to take him low, and we got into each other at the end. Obviously, didn't want to ruin his finishing position or try to make it low or anything like that. It's just unfortunately I made the decision like that. So I apologize to the 13 team, but I mean, yeah, really strong finish for the brand new team of Magnitude 9, 1, 2, 3. So uh, awesome job to Nick Crawford for that victory. That's incredible for him, and also the help from Brian all day as well, getting the second place finish.
Well, I'll let you know, Hunter, if we look at patterns from last season, you're in the best place to start out. It was Cedric Hunter that finished in third last season and won the championship. So it's not a bad place to start the season off. But for tonight's race, you waited until the last moment, a little bit of bumping and bruising. But we go to Atlanta next week. How are you feeling about going back to mile and a half racing?
Well, it's fun to finally be spread out a little bit more. I've raced at Daytona many times in these past couple of races here on Freaky Fast, so it's definitely finally nice to get spaced out a little bit more again. So I'm gonna be looking forward to that. I like Atlanta as well. Destroys your tires, really bumpy surface, really old surface, multi-groove track, really fun racing. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, I think it'll be a lot of competition out there. All the drivers at Cat 5 and on my team as well. So it's going to be really fun. And it's going to be a great race to kick off this brand new season as well.
And well, Hunter, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, just all my teammates over at Magnitude 9. Just my two other teammates, Brian Johnson and Nick Crawford, for helping me out all race. And of course, the other drivers over at Cat 5 who helped me out all this race as well. Just also helped me get into this league and finally talking to me and having me a chance to race here over at Saturday night. So I'm looking forward to that. It's a great league, and really thankful for that. And also thank you to the league for letting me in. All these great admins over here. I'm looking forward to these next couple of races this season. My family out there, I love all y'all. Let's see, just everyone else out there who helps so much. Dave Bush, Termite Designs, who helps make my paints every single week. So really thankful for him as well. Quick shout out to my sponsor, Plan B Sales. Largest distributor of NASCAR diecast and apparel in North America. So go check them out, planbsales.com, if you're looking for any racing apparel, IndyCar, NASCAR, Formula One, dirt racing, any sorts of that. They have you covered for t-shirts, hats, diecast, anything you're looking forward to. Go check them out at planbsales.com. Make sure you use code HH48, HH as in Hunter Hayward 48 at checkout for free shipping and orders $20 and over. So go check them out. That would help us out a lot. And yeah.
That's Hunter Hayward in the 48 machine. He's a rookie, but certainly show that he's got some speed here tonight. Good luck, Hunter, next week, and congratulations on a top 3 finish.
All right, thanks, sir. You have a good night.
As we now move to second place, the man that dominated last season and had to just push the 11 and hope for the best, Brian Johnson up in the booth. Brian, it's Sam up in the booth. You got me?
I sure do.
Well, what a night for yourself. Found yourself just pushing the 11 of Nick Crawford, and Crawford got a very good view of seeing Zach Hall's face.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, Zach put this paint scheme together for me because he was talking some crap about my other paint scheme. So I was like, well, hey, maybe if I put your face on it, it'd look a little better. So started as a joke and it came to fruition. So there it is. But yeah, plate racing, not a huge fan. I mean, I would go as far as saying it's not really racing, but yeah, just gotta push, gotta just hold whatever track position you got because you can't really gain a whole lot on track and just push whoever you can. And luckily, I came in second. Teammate finished first with Nick, which happy for him. And then the new guy Hunter, my other teammate, finished third. So we got a 1, 2, 3 out of this deal.
Hey, Brian, Brandon up here. Congratulations on the P2. You started 17th, so by the end of the race, you had moved up 15 spots. I see the I rating, I see the safety rating. Obviously, a very experienced iRacer here. When you start a season, even though you had won 7 races last season, you start over fresh here at Daytona. Were you a little worried about your qualifying position back there in 17th, or does your experience allow you to be cool, calm, collective, knowing that if I just keep my car clean and have a shot at the finish, that I'll be up there in towards the front?
Yeah, I mean, the Daytona and Talladega are kind of outliers when it comes to qualifying because, well, one, I'm a terrible plate track qualifier. I can't ever figure this thing out. So, I come in expecting to qualify right around 15th. But if it was say like next week at Atlanta, if I qualify 15th, then yeah, I'll be a little bit worried. But I know that between tire wear and pit strategy, I'll be able to make my way to the front most likely. But coming into the season, last season had 7 wins and made it to the final four. Couldn't wrap up that championship, but you just have to go into every season not expecting that you're going to have the same success as last season. You have to make your own success every season. So just kind of starting with the slate clean, fresh start, and just got to make things happen.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, we're now going to be heading to Atlanta next. How are you feeling about going back to what you'd consider back to actual racing?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, I'm super happy about that. We can, tires actually matter, and jockeying for position matters, and you don't have to, figure out, hey, well, on this restart, I'll let you down so you don't go all the way to the back and all that. And you don't have to worry about losing draft and. So really, the only thing I worry about is the tire wear on the right front and the right rear, and how much dirty air you're getting. So definitely looking forward to getting back over there, expecting to have some pretty good results. And with this team, this new team this season with Magnitude 9, I think all of us are going to have some pretty good success.
Well, Brian, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, definitely got to thank Cedric Hunter on that last restart for letting Nick and I in on the bottom there. That wasn't really planned, but that's the way it worked out. So got to thank him first and foremost. And then everybody else at Cat 5. Unfortunately over the off season we had to split up because of some new rules, but it's all good. Plate tracks will work together. Everywhere else will operate as separate teams. But yeah, definitely got to thank everybody at Cat 5, and then you guys for putting on a great show as always, and then everybody that tuned in, and then the lead guys over here, the admins, and everybody else over here. It's a great community. Glad to be a part of it, and yeah, just can't wait until next week.
That's Brian Johnson and the 28 Magnitude 9 team. Comes out finishing second here tonight. Congratulations on that, and good luck next week.
Thank you, sir.
As we now bring in that of Nick Crawford. Nick Crawford, our winner here today for the Track Racer Daytona 250, winning the first race and now having the biggest target on his back. Nick, how you feeling after getting the win here today?
Ooh, well, it's definitely really nice. Haven't really gotten a win in this league, so it's really exciting. Especially to come at Daytona and first race. So yeah, definitely. It's always really good to be locked into the playoffs, but it was really fun.
Yeah, Nick,
Yeah.
going around there, there was a lot of cautions at the end of that race. Did that kind of make you feel a little bit more comfortable knowing that on the short runs, it's so hard to get the momentum? You don't risk going out of the outside maybe until, turn 3, turn 4. Did those cautions kind of set the mood for you a little bit moving towards the end of that race?
If I were not in the lead, it definitely would have changed things. But when you're the leader and then you have all your teammates and affiliates with you, it's really easy to be pretty comfortable, especially when everyone's on the same page. But if I were third, fourth, starting on outside lane, then definitely would have been uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, Nick, this is your first win for the NAISCC as your career. How does it feel finally getting a win after, trying so hard last season, not able to get the win at all last season, and finally getting it done at the start of a new season?
It definitely last season was definitely about having fun. I kind of had that mindset through the season, even uh, towards the end. It's really just about having fun. But it is definitely nice to get a win. It makes the things a lot sweeter, a lot easier for the rest of the season. But I back it up with something on an oval that's not a super speedway.
That's Nick Crawford getting the win here today. And Nick, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I definitely want to thank my teammates first. Magnitude 9, new team. Like Brian was saying, new rules made new teams. Cat 5 was there as well. Definitely got to thank them. We all had a really good strategy the whole race, and it kept us up front. Definitely want to thank you guys. You bring a lot of excitement to this. Really appreciate what you guys do. Definitely got to thank my support system at home, my wife. She's my heart. She does a lot for me, and she keeps me up all day.
That's Nick Crawford in the 11, winning, locking himself into the playoffs. And man, this is one's got to be feeling good. Nick Crawford, your winner, and good luck next week, Nick.
Thank you.
And as now we're done with interviews, we get to take a little bit of a look here at where our unofficial results lie. We know the 11 got the win. Brian Johnson comes in second. Hunter Hayward, all of magnitude 9, coming 1, 2, 3, with Vincent Sora in 4th. Cedric Hunter falling back to 5th place. Ryan Bird in 6th. Danny Cochran going to get 7th. That of Jared Talmadge going to be able to get 8th, with Joseph Causey in 9th and Mark Whitley in 10th. And we also see that of Patrick Hernandez in 11th. Great run for the 19. As we take a look at the rest of the order going down, drivers of note that had great runs and fell back. Zach Hall, we saw get involved with an incident, and a couple of other drivers. But Brandon, when you look at the results and where drivers lie, what are some big notes that you're seeing?
Well, I see Mark Whitley up 15 spots, finishing in the top 10. Joseph Causey, another driver, up 9 spots. So, as expected here at Daytona, everything kind of is calm and smooth before the storm. And we've seen a couple of storms there in the second stage, but that's how Daytona goes. That's how plate racing is. Everybody wants to stay out of trouble early on. That allows some people to gain some track position going into that second stage. We saw some guys drop a lot. I mean, Thomas Walter down 22 spots, so he's definitely already looking forward to Atlanta. Nick Crawford winning his first race here in the league. Very exciting. Brian Johnson, again, picking up the momentum that he had last season, up 15 spots, finishing second, of course. So we saw a lot of hard racing, but the most important part moving forward, we saw a lot of clean racing here tonight, especially within that top 10. I think this is going to be a terrific season. Going from Daytona to Atlanta, I love that schedule. Atlanta offering a lot of great racing. And some great racing here tonight. I think everybody did a fantastic job.
It certainly was a lot of clean racing, only having just a handful of cautions that came out, but everyone sticking to their P's and Q's. And it's going to be Nick Crawford getting the win in the 11, magnitude 9, getting it all done. Well, Brandon, we're going to Atlanta. How are you feeling about going to that track, and your final thoughts of the night?
Well, Atlanta is one of my favorite tracks personally, to both race and to call a race. Atlanta is a multi-groove racetrack. You can be a bottom feeder and run the yellow line there, or you can run up high as well. A lot of drivers like to do that, save a little bit of tires. I think we'll see some guys on that 14-1, 16-1 steering ratio. And Atlanta, it's called Hot Atlanta for a reason. And my reason for that is you just see a lot of action-packed racing there. Again, one of my favorite tracks. I cannot wait till next week. My conclusion of the night, like I touched base on, some really good, clean racing, but some very competitive racing. Some drivers really being able to stamp their name here tonight. And even though we had a handful of cautions, I think we can chalk that up to some late race not panicking or anything, but just some late race action that you get throughout iRacing and IRL racing as well. Guys battling for position, knowing that checkered flag's coming. So Very positive night here moving forward. This league and the admins should be really proud of the group of guys that they have here.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of drivers here tonight upset on where they finished, but it's only the start of the season. Still a lot of racing to go, and there's going to be 16 spots to see who's going to be going into the playoffs. We already know one, Nick Crawford. He's punched his ticket. He's moving on to the playoffs, but the rest of the drivers got a lot more racing to do. Tonight, thank you, Brandon, for joining me up in the booth. First time working with you, and we know we're going to grow and get better throughout the season. We're going to get to know and get better with the drivers throughout the season. But we got to stick what we usually do. We got to throw it up to the man who's behind the screen, that being Robert Moyer, to finish out our call.
All right. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Sam. Hopefully everybody enjoyed tonight's event here with, let's see here, with the NAISCC Cup Series. Man, they put on one whale of a show. Congratulations to Nick Crawford, finally getting a win. He's got that monkey off his back. He doesn't have to worry about too much anymore. He's going to be able to just go out and race and try to rack up the wins, like his teammate did, and, last year with 7 wins here. So, but it's great, like you said, Sam. It's great to have Saturday night back, ladies and gentlemen. Big league, big drivers. And it rolls on over to Monday night too. They pack a big house. So if you're looking for a league, make sure you check these guys out on Facebook. You can look up NAISCC Cup or the Truck Series, and they will point you in the right direction. Or you can find them also on the iRacing homepage. If you already got iRacing, just go to the league page and look them up, and they'll be able to help you out there. Again, everybody, thank you for tuning in out there on YouTube. If you're going back and watching this replay, don't forget to share this to your favorite social media platform of your choosing. It helps the leagues out, it helps the drivers out, and it helps us out in general. If you like tonight's content, you can hit that subscribe button and like button. But until next week, Saturday night at Atlanta, hot Atlanta, where we're going to see slipping and sliding and battling, and man, God knows what we're going to see there. It's going to be fun. But until then, hopefully everybody joins us tomorrow as I'll end this stream here. We'll be with Sim Racing Unleashed. We go live tomorrow night at 7:50. So make sure you come on into YouTube. Tune in, say hi. And as we got David Medina and Zach Hall calling all the action with Sim Racing Unleashed. When they'll be in the next gen cars tomorrow night. So, but until then, hopefully everybody has a great rest of their Saturday night. Be safe on Sunday. Enjoy some NASCAR racing and also some NFL football. But until then, we're going to sign off here. God bless everybody. We love you all. Peace out.